Good. Excuse me. Good morning, everybody. So, I was in the yawn clear until I hit start streaming, and I tried to make it through the good morning, but I couldn't. I failed. I had to do the yawn, but how is everyone doing? I hope you're doing well. And we're going to get into the Daily Farmer's Almanac. And I'm going to pull one of these Witch's Tarot cards. I'm going to shuffle it up first. And then, is these still in order? Yes, they are. Okay, yeah. I'm going to shuffle these up first. The Four of Swords is at the top of the deck. Ooh, the Four of Swords and the World card. That's just, it's reminding me of what came to me. It's like, allow the world to be rewritten. Allow for your experience to truly be something that it hasn't been. And I think a lot of times we can go into realms of like denying or ignoring or trying to run away from um, ways that the world truly is, to try to convince ourselves that it's something that it isn't. And I am not the authority on anything. But also, I don't know if it's more personal for all of us right now. Or if there's going to be sort of a time where it's like there's a time where we can do things for ourselves before it's done for us. The bottom of the deck is the Chariot after a few shuffles. Now, in a lot of Chariot cards, the horses are depicted as going in different directions, or you can tell that they face in different directions, but it's up to the will of the charioteer to put them on, the same sort of path. What's at the top of the deck? The top of the deck is the Lovers! The Lovers with the Chariot. It's like once you two, and this could be you and you, get on the same page, like, ain't no stopping us now, we're on the move type of energy. And then the Page of Swords is behind the Chariot, with the Three of Wands behind that. So this is something that we've been asking for with the Three of Wands energy. But it's almost like maybe we didn't know how much it would require of us. Or maybe we did. But with that Page of Swords into the Chariot, it's like some of the challenge, I guess, in getting everything to line up is some of the growth and maturing that we ourselves still are in the process of doing. And it's like it's something that requires growth, healing. I just realized I didn't drink any water yesterday besides the melted ice from my matcha lemonade. What did I drink yesterday? I didn't really eat yesterday either. Five of Cups with the Princess of Pentacles, the Page of Pentacles on the bottom of the deck. What I like about this Five of Cups card is that it's one of the few ones that depict the person or mermaid as looking at the two cups that are still upright. Now, she's still like languishing or lamenting and anguishing, but at least her perspective is in the right place now. It's like now we just got to pick ourselves up and do it. Top of the deck is the Ten of Cups with the Princess of Pentacles at the bottom, and the Hierophant, the Magician, the Hierophant, and the Princess of Pentacles. Yeah, see, there's this, and then the Ten of Wands is here. So Ten of Wands is personal stuff that got in the way in whatever this Five of Cups situation is. And it's like, again, it's like we're in this situation, we manifest something here, and then it's like with the Hierophant and the Page of Pentacles, there's this energy of like there were things that we really bought into with that established earth energy, but not with this fresh earth energy. It's like it showed us all the ways it feels like that we kept ourselves stuck, or all of the beliefs that we bought into that held our world stagnant. And again, it's like with that Three of Wands into the Page of Swords, it's like you're manifesting something, you're creating something that's triggering growth, that's triggering healing, that's triggering a reevaluation of a lot of things in the seeking of the fulfillment of it. And I think a lot of times, again, with this Five of Cups, it's like there can be a little bit of contention or conflict, or again, we're still growing. And so sometimes it's like we can be a little hard on ourselves, we can be a little harsh on ourselves, we can feel like not worthy or lesser than, when that's not the case. Like, it's an opportunity for you to grow into. And it's probably changing and adapting in some way to get accustomed to you. And so you don't have to beat yourself up or think of yourself in a certain way if it doesn't work out perfectly, because it wasn't supposed to. Like, it's not that it's not supposed to work out, it's not supposed to be without challenge, because again, we come into a fresh energy. Page of Swords, Page of Pentacles, we come into a new space after reevaluating, or now having an opportunity to see that some of the things that we long believed aren't necessarily true, or they no longer have to be true. So with all of that, let's get into May 7. Here's a question. I blocked the answer before I read it. Why is a spectator like a beehive? There you go. You see that? Why is a spectator like a beehive? Like a beehive. Oh my gosh. He is a beholder. He is a beholder. And that reminds me of practice makes perfect all day long. With everything that I've been saying, it's like perfection is in the eye of the beholder. No one else is supposed to see it. And there are so many ways in which I am growing and changing. And I guess from an internal space, like, I know where I've been. And so, like, sometimes I'll apologize for something and somebody be like, what are you talking about? And I'll be like, I know sometimes I can be like this. And I'm like, I'm growing and I'm changing. So if I seem a little like that, then I apologize. And they're always like, I didn't see that. Like, I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't hold that perception of you. I didn't pick that up. And it's like, oh, okay, well, cool, work. Maybe I'm not as bad. Maybe I'm just in my head. And again, it's that energy of like, no one else is really supposed to see it. Like, you know your growth, you know your journey, you know what the divine is sort of pulling you through. But I think that can sometimes also be our undoing, or it doesn't always benefit us, because it's about the lens of perspective that we take. And just like with the magician and that Hierophant and the Princess of Pentacles, it's like current belief systems, current ways of going about things, the current sort of establishment and foundation and infrastructure and organization in your life doesn't necessarily support what it is that you're trying to do. That's why the Princess of Pentacles came out after the Hierophant, instead of like the King or the Queen, instead of the King or the Queen of Pentacles. If it were something that's already established, then, you know, a more established energy would have come out. Or if it was something that was suited to what is already established, then a more established energy would come out. But a brand new energy came out. And I think a lot of times when I look at the Hierophant, I look at things that already are, or things in our experience that already are. But the Magician, the Hierophant, and the Page of Pentacles could be us tapping into something that is already established. It's like the means are already there, the road is already paved, you just have to go about doing it another way. Also, there's a queen in the beehive. Worker bees, drones, the queen, little baby bees. So the card that comes out with this is the Two of Wands. Why is a spectator like a beehive? He is a bee holder. Look at those. They're both sort of gazing out. Neither one of them is necessarily moving yet. There's almost an energy here. It almost feels like, before you convince yourself that you don't want something, or before you try to talk yourself out of something, before you try to overanalyze, over criticize, before you try to downplay something so that you don't get disappointed or you don't get your hopes up or like it's too good to be true. It's like, why don't you be open enough, courageous enough to experience it a little bit with an open mind? Because if you do, you may discover that things aren't necessarily what you thought that they were. Bottom of the deck is the Empress. Oh, another page. Oh, wait. Oh, hold up. Oh, we going back. Oh, my gosh. Come through, majors. Yeah. Sorry. But come through, majors. The bottom of the deck is gorge, girls. So we have the Page of Cups, the King of Cups, and the Empress. Again, there's the page, but this one is more established, right? This one immediately goes from page to king. And I feel like to go from page to king, especially in the Suit of Cups, it's a matter of openness and it's a matter of openness and your ability to receive. It's vulnerability. Because again, it's like spiritually, this is established. Energetically, it's already there. We just have to sort of work our way physically to the same point. It's like first it connects spiritually, and then mentally, and then physically. And so if we're dealing in the realm of spirit or connection, it's already done. As soon as you conceive of it, as soon as you think it, basically it's yours. Because that alignment had to happen in some way before it could even be something that your mind could conceive of. Which again is why it's important to pay attention to your perspective and what you believe. Because it's like, so a man thinketh, so is he, or something like that. I forget it. But it's like, so a man thinketh, he is, or something like that. So there's a chance to immediately, and again, it's not that it's necessarily going to be easy in the beginning. But with effort, it's like you'll be able to see that how much it's for you. And in my own personal experience, that has been enough for me to, most of the time, like again, I'm human, but it's been enough for me to be willing to see something a different way, or to be willing to be patient, or to communicate, or to not sort of hold on to things for so long. And it leads you like directly to the Empress. I feel like the Empress, again, it's that all of that abundance that is waiting for you, but you have to be an Empress. You have to be someone who is capable of holding it, because she's pregnant in this card. If you're not taking care of yourself and the baby, then it's probably going to be a complicated pregnancy. Now, there are like natural conditions that will make a pregnancy complicated, but there are also things that like we need to do, right? Like fetal alcohol syndrome is a thing. People who use drugs when, they're pregnant, all of that travels through the bloodstream, through the umbilical cord to the baby. And then you have babies who are born like going through withdrawal, or babies who are born addicted to stuff because the mother was addicted to stuff and she passed on the addiction to her baby because when she was pregnant she kept doing whatever she was doing apparently. Or maybe it was already in her system and it passed on to the baby. It's the things that like we need to sort of be in order to nurture this. Like I've been talking about the trees, our plants, both the soil and the environment outside need to be correct. Atmospheric conditions and the underground conditions, right? If you want some azaleas, you got to make sure that your soil isn't too basic. And I know a lot of people are into drinking alkaline water, but an azalea can't grow in that. Azaleas can't even grow in like pH neutral water, which is like 7. You got to give it something special. And then the cards under that, I guess we'll build up to that again. So first we start with the 3 of coins, 3 of pentacles. The 3 of pentacles in this deck can be really heavy for me sometimes because of the letter that this person is writing. Right, this reminds me of someone who goes into the nunnery or goes into the abbey. I don't know what you call it. And like they're in their training to be a nun or to be a father or a priest or whatever, and they're writing letters to home. Excuse me. But in this, like this feels like us sort of reaching the end of our rope, and we're writing this letter to the divine, and it's like, I will do anything you ask of me, to not be in this place, to not be in this position, to not experience this anymore, because I don't know how much longer I can take experiencing this. And then comes the star. It's like our prayer is heard. It feels like what the divine will do is like this is what we associate as that major healing. But there are all of these other things that we need to do around it. Hold up. There are all these other things that we need to do to get that major healing, or what we wrote for. Again, what we're manifesting, it requires a little bit more of us to get us there. Again, because we have to be capable of carrying it. We have to be capable of nurturing it, and then we have to be capable of giving birth to it. And the less complications, the easier it is for mother and child to be happy, healthy, safe, and not in the hospital in critical condition after the pregnancy or in the ground, right? Unfortunately. But it's like what the divine will do is it'll throw all of these into a constellation. And so there will be these things that you experience that from that background view with a certain perspective, you would be able to see how it's all connected and getting you to the place that you want to be as the version of yourself that you need to be in order to maintain it, in order to appreciate it, in order to just see it, in order to have it and not run away from it or give it away or sabotage it, right? And then we have the moon. The moon is us sort of navigating that constellation of stars, us do like getting this healing and doing that healing, and it's like, why is this healing thing never over? Oh my gosh, like, am I ever gonna actually be healed enough to get what I want? Or it's like, this is so much more like I prayed to the divine and I thought that my prayer was answered, but like, what is this challenge again? It's not being able to see the full thing, which is fine, because again, we got a little bit of stuff to do before we can even really maybe be capable of grasping or conceptualizing what it is that the divine has in mind for us, because it lies beyond so many closed doors and limiting beliefs out of fear and self-preservation. and terrible experiences that we never want to have again. So we buy into whatever keeps us mentally, emotionally safe, even though it keeps us spiritually distant and stagnant. And then we come into this hanged man energy. I feel like the hanged man, especially coming after the moon, this is two Piscean energies. We got Pisces and water or Neptune. Both water and Neptune, it can be hard to navigate. Water in its nature distorts light. Now, depending on the depth of the water and the clearness of it, you can see like to the bottom. Like you can get some like crystal clear lakes where you can see the fish swimming and you can see the coral and stuff like that. With this moon card though, it goes deeper. And because water distorts light, naturally the deeper you go, the less light there's going to be, because more of it is distorted or like reflected upwards and out or something like that. And so the hangman then comes at that, it's like that point where it's a choice. It's like, do you want to continue diving down? Here is spirit represented by the crow dangling the carrot that is the pinnacle. Like, I know you want this ace of pennies. I know you want this big old pinnacle. Are you gonna do what you need to get at? And you're like, girl, well, I've been doing what I need for years now, and I'm not seeing too much of a payout, so I don't know. But then in that moment, it's like if you take inventory, if you take stock, if you take a step back from what it is that you have to do in the moment, and you look at what it is that you've already done, what it is that you've already accomplished, I feel like you would be able to see how in some way it's getting you closer to something. You're becoming more available to receive something. You're becoming more primed and positioned to create something. And I feel like you would be able to see how some of the things that you were asking for, you're getting. Now, as humans, sometimes it's like, oh, like I'll do anything to get this, and if you help me out, I'll do anything, I'll do anything. And then once we get a little bit of what we wanted, it's like, oh yeah, I'm done. Like I already have what I want. I'm not gonna do anymore. You should have had a contract, or you shouldn't have paid me until after I did the work, because now I got the money. I'm gone. Hello? Like, why would I keep working? I already got my reward. We cheat ourselves in that way. And so maybe also with this hangman and the moon, it's like we think that we've gotten somewhere. Like we think that we've done all that we need to do to get what we want. And so we ease up. So we stop. We don't hold firm to what it is that we promised the divine when we were in that spot where we were desperate and asking for, like, we do anything, I'll do anything. It's like we do a little bit and then we done. Like that ain't even a full moon. That's not even a. It's not even a full moon in this car. We ain't even do enough work to get a full moon. And then we want to be done. It's like, oh, I've gotten all the enlightenment that I need. Like we sort of sit there on our laurels in some spaces where in reality we're still tied to the tree. We're still bound. We still haven't gotten where we need to be. And once you within yourself come to a space and a place where no matter what challenges come your way, you are going to see them overcome, like you're going to overcome them no matter what happens, then you come into this full energy where it's like, come what may, I'm going to keep going. I'm not going to stop. Not going to stop. That's who I... What is that song? I'm not gonna stop. Not gonna stop. That's who I am. Is that from High School Musical? Once you come into that energy, then you're good. And I feel like this little dog, that's gonna be the one that's leading you away from the cliff, where spirit is leading you towards the cliff. That little dog, it's like it's representing all of those old patterns, all of those old habits, all of those old beliefs, everything that you have a tie to that keeps you going in the opposite direction that you're being guided to go in. But once you say goodbye to all of those and you take that leap off the cliff, that's when you come into this energy. That's this. We're all pages of cups, but our level of dedication and determination is what would make us a king to then come into this empress energy, or to be primed to receive or to birth like an empress. But we have to make that choice in the decision, right? They both have the same colors, but one of them adventures out to gain more knowledge. Another one of them is hanging on the tree like I've already done all the work. I'm enlightened. Look at my crown. Like I'm good. And it's like, yeah, but you still don't have the pinnacle. Like spirit still has the pinnacle. Let me put these back in order. So yeah, those were some pretty interesting cards at the bottom of the deck. And what came out again? The Two of Wands. The Two of Wands came out. And with this Two of Wands, one of the biggest sort of Two of Wands killers is the Three of Swords. And that's why we really, like, that's why all of the healing is necessary. That's why we have to be dedicated to our path and to our journey. Because there's going to be a lot of, like, Three of Swords things that we encounter. And I want to say, I almost wanted to say it's like we'll realize how maladapted we were. But for what the situations were, for what the times were, for what we were able to do in those spaces, it wasn't maladaptation. Like, we adapted in the ways that we needed to survive. We adapted in the ways that we needed to not be as hurt. Or maybe we thought we wouldn't be as hurt, but again, maybe we hurt ourselves even more. I've been there. And so that's why it's not maladapted for where it was. It's maladapted for where you want to be. Right? In your past situation, all of those beliefs, all of those habits, all of those patterns, they served their purpose. The purpose was to keep you as safe as, like, to keep yourself as safe as you could. And for that reason, even if you hurt yourself, it served that purpose. But when it comes to, like, the fulfillment of your heart's desires and a life that is full of abundance and bliss, those things don't serve this purpose. And so we're going to have to go through and we're going to have to heal. We're going to have to question those beliefs. We're going to have to fortify other beliefs. We're going to have to rediscover some. And it's this, with the Three of Pentacles, again, it's a collaborative effort. And we have to be in a space of collaboration more so than, like, the divine is going to do everything for me. Because all the divine can really do is give you the opportunity or point you in the right direction. But the work, you have to do yourself. It falls under your realm of free will and choice. Right? Free will isn't like, I say that I want something and then you give it to me because I asked for it. Like, free will is a package deal. Like, you see the thing, you do the work, you get the reward. Because as you are, again, with that Empress, you may not be capable of sustaining, maintaining, nurturing, growing, birthing the thing. Maybe it comes into your experience, but it's immediately gone. Like, if you're manifesting wealth, but you're really bad with money, then as soon as you get the money, it's gone. And it's like, well, that's not really sustainable, is it? If you want wealth, then we're going to have to teach you to be a little bit more fiscally responsible. Maybe we're going to have to teach you how to save or teach you how to invest. Maybe you're going to learn different skills or trades, or you're going to be moved in a certain way to be noticed, to fall on your path to getting that wealth. And your path to that wealth may not be where you are, because I feel like if it was, you'd already have it. Right? If you were perfectly good as is, you'd probably have everything that you want. And a lot of times, and it's not that it's untrue, But a lot of times we'll be like, oh, I'm perfectly good. It's everyone else, or it's the environment. Everyone else is the problem. And it's like, maybe, but also maybe there are things that you could do. And if the environment truly is the problem, if everyone else truly is the problem, then that's going to require some navigating to a different space. But navigating to like a divinely led space, not a space that we pick like, oh, if I move here, if I go there, then everything will work out for me. There's more opportunity there and blah, 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 blah. It's easier. But then you get there and it's like you run into the same issues that you experienced where you were. Maybe worse. I knew somebody who was always like, this is worse than where I was. And then he moved. This is worse than where I was. And then he moved. This is worse than where I was. And it's like, okay, well, something isn't working out here. And like when I met him where I was, he would talk about how great things were where he was before. And then his first trip, I reached out to him. And he was like, man, like things at Purdue were pretty great. And it's like, okay, well, when you were here, you were talking about something else. And then he moved again, and he was missing the people and the situation where he was. And it's like, okay, well, at what point are we going to start seeing the present as the gift it is? At what point are we going to start seeing the present for the opportunities that it brings? At what point are we going to start appreciating those things, working with those things, so we're not constantly looking back on things that are already gone or things that didn't work out? Maybe they didn't work out because of the environment and situation. Maybe it didn't work out because of us. Maybe it was both. I feel like a lot of times it's both. Even through all of the healing and the growing and the evolution that I'm going through within myself, honestly, especially, and I love that I have my one friend who I've been seeing so much lately. I was like, you're basically in my quarantine circle again now. Or circle now. Are people still doing quarantine circles? It's like, I don't really go anywhere. He doesn't really go anywhere. He got tested. I got tested when I had my surgeries. And I haven't developed any symptoms since then, which doesn't mean I couldn't be asymptomatic. But again, I don't really go anywhere. So, but through him, it's like there are some times when I'm like, was I the problem? See, my stay. Hey, Mimi, how are you doing today? My stay last time was a whole bunch of like, was I the problem? Like the way that I'm reacting and responding in these situations is different now. I feel like I was the problem. That was the stay before last. Now the last day I was like, no, you were the problem and you're still the problem. But you being the problem in this specific situation doesn't mean that I can't meet you with some kind of growth that I've experienced. And then when I would do that, it would encourage growth from him. And so he would like meet me there. Now, there were also situations when going back to the food where I could have been real petty. I could have been like, well, I got what I want. Y'all two can share y'all dishes. I'm going to eat mine. Because again, I got what I wanted. But I was like, you know what? Like, let me not. Like, I don't have to be like that. And if I'm going to allow the world to be rewritten, then I also have to allow myself to be somebody that I haven't been, or allow myself to be more. And honestly, through everything that I've experienced, that is something that I can do. It's something that I can do. It's something that I'll choose every single time. Because at this point, it would be very foolish of me to not. Like, I would be the turkey for not doing it. Someone is acting foolishly. That would be me. So, one second. I don't got my glasses. Hey Siri, where are my glasses? What is this? Oh. What? Oh, here it is. I was like, what? Where'd it go? You're a bit confused. This is the second dream in a week you had of this guy you were close to over 10 years ago. And your dream early this morning, you told him you loved him. I don't know. Because sometimes I'll dream about people. And I've gotten better now at seeing what the people represent. Like there's this one dude who I kind of crushed on from like 2015, 2016. I met him 2011. We didn't share the same space until like 2015. And I was like, "You look so familiar to me." And he was like, "You look so familiar to me." And it turns out we had like freshman engineering class together. I was like, "Oh yeah, you were the dude in the group before us that would always like cuz like we would turn around and work with each other." I don't know if I ever talked to him specifically, but I remembered him. Even without even consciously knowing that I remembered him, I remembered him. But that's how like, don't I know you from somewhere? It works, right? And over the course of getting to know him, so I saw him in a dream recently. And there was this point where I was like, is he? Maybe? Could we? Potentially? And so when I first started seeing him in a dream, I was like, oh snap, well, maybe it means something. But now it's like, for me, he represents someone who is dependable, someone who is reliable, someone who is going to, like, physically be there. Even if he doesn't necessarily. I don't want to say even if he doesn't know how to be. But, like, he's not the most emotionally inclined person that I know. He's like born on the cusp of Taurus and Gemini. I honestly like. I feel like he has a Taurus. Like he feels like Taurus to me. It's like he's built like a Taurus on the outside, but he's more Gemini on the inside. If that makes sense. It's like on a surface level, he feels like a Taurus, but when I get deeper, he feels more Gemini. Because as a Pisces, as a water sign, a lot of Tauruses are able to meet me in those emotional spaces in a way that Geminis don't necessarily operate. Gemini can start to sort of like at a certain point intellectualize maybe a little bit more, where I'd like feel a little bit more. And so in that space of feeling, that's where like he's not all the way there, but he's still like Taurus physically there. He's still present. I can still feel that he cares about me and that he's invested. And so like when I saw him, I was like, "Oh, like there's someone coming that fulfills that for me, or someone who I feel like I can depend on, someone who I feel that I can rely on, someone who like even if I'm going through something that they don't quite know how to help me through, I can still count on them to be there for me." And like he was a bus driver of all things. I was just getting on the bus and I was like, "Oh, snap, is that dude? Is that dude up there driving the bus?" And it was. And so I reached out to him. I was like, "Hey, I saw you in a dream last night. It's been a while. What's up? What's good?" Also, he doesn't really talk about his feelings. So, your guy has a lot of Capricorn in his chart. Ooh. You were so emotional over him, maybe because you never told him back then that you loved and cared about him. It's a release in 5D. It could be. I feel like whatever it is, you would probably know better than I do because you would know what it means to you more than I would. So, like, it could be a release in 5D. It could be a reminder or a message for you to be more vulnerable, for you to be more open, for you to communicate with people how you feel. Sometimes I look at dreams as not warnings, but as indicators of an energy that's to come. So let's say that you meet somebody soon, or let's say that you're in an experience soon. It may not necessarily be the communication of love, but it may be important for you to be vulnerable and open and honest about how you emotionally feel. Or else it's going to be another one of those sort of missed opportunity situations, or it's going to be something else that just doesn't happen. So, yeah, that's, it could be anything like that. But honestly, was I like, oh my gosh, is this dude coming back into my life? I'm like, maybe, hopefully, he was pretty cool. And then also, if I'm honest, it's like where I am now and who I am now. Like 99 point, I'd say a good 99.9% of the people that I met before I started my journey, I wouldn't necessarily expect for them to meet me where I am. Doesn't mean that they wouldn't, because I've experienced quite a few of my friends who started their own journeys that I didn't even know about. I get on Facebook, I get on Instagram, people sharing stuff or asking, hey, how do you do shadow work? Like, is there a book on it? I'm like, girl, wait. Wait. And it's like more and more and more of my friends. I'm like, whoa, this is crazy. Of course, I'm not reaching out to anybody because, they have their journeys and I have mine. But it is nice to notice. I mean, some of them I do, I guess, in ways, but no problem. Um, but yeah, and his name held a synchronicity for me because I saw something and then I had the dream. Now, did the thing that I saw trigger the dream? Potentially. But then recently I've come across something else and I'm like, oh, like this could be the holder of the synchronicity and not what I thought it was. Especially since it's like it also makes sense here. And so that's the tricky thing. But I think that's also why that hangman and fool energy is so important, especially coming off of the moon, right? With limited knowledge, we shouldn't be so quick to be so firm with certain things to the point where we're not going in the ways that we need to go. Like I said yesterday, sometimes we're guided to a shop window, not to go into the shop and inquire about the thing that we saw in the window, but just to look at the thing. It's like, oh my gosh, like that's kind of cute. Who said that? Somebody was talking about, I think it was Cindy from Awakening to Spirit. It could have been somebody else. Actually, it might have been somebody else. It might have been Reem from Miss Reemy Healings. But they were talking about how they saw an outfit on TikTok. Or maybe it was Queen Cup. I think it was Queen Cup. Apparently, I like, obviously, I don't know. But I think it was actually Queen Cup in her live before the last live. I think it was the one where she talked about light workers and dark workers. But she was like, I saw something on whoever it was. They were like, I saw something on TikTok. It was an outfit that was really cute, and I was like, I want this outfit. And then I went to take my dog to the groomer, or I went to go somewhere else, but they were closed, and I was upset. But on the way back, because I decided to walk around a little bit, I passed the store that had the outfit in the window, and so I got the outfit. And it's like, it's that energy. Like we see it, we continue along our journey, and then something happens, and then we come back to it. Then it makes more sense. Also, I've recently discovered there was somebody that I had a. This is just me being a Pisces, y'all. You think it's more of the vulnerability message for you. There's no way you and him are reconnecting. He's a photographer now that's surrounded by IG models. This is how my Pisces brain works. So there was this one dude that I was like into, but he was dealing with some stuff. He he reconnected with his past. It didn't work out again. And he was like, yeah, oof, that was not it. I was like, yeah, girl, that wasn't it, was it? But now we're friends. And I'm like, okay, that's cool. I mean, he's still cute, right? But now we're friends. And I recently, he just graduated not too long ago. And he's looking at the Seattle area. Now, Seattle is an area that just dropped into my spirit years ago. I was like, I want to live in Seattle. And it's interesting because when we were talking, I was going like West Coast and he was going East Coast. And I was like, I was talking about Seattle. You were talking about East Coast. How did you end up on Seattle? And he was like, oh, well, where are you looking? And I was like, well, Seattle is still on my list. The UK is on my list. Some other places are on my list. And if I'm talking about going back to something, maybe it's him. And honestly, like, who I was when we first met versus who I am now, much, much, much better aligns to who he is. Because he is very vocal. He's very passionate about certain things that affect people. And he doesn't mind putting his presence and his voice where those issues are. Now, when we first met, I was a lot more like, I'm not going to talk about stuff. I'm going to hold on to my beliefs. Like, I know what is and what ain't, like, really messed up. But who I am now, girl, yeah, like, a much better fit. Anywhere But Here is on your list. Well, Anywhere But Here could be a lot of places that you don't actually want to be, so you may want to use a little bit more something in that, because a whole bunch of places is there that ain't where you want to be. And Anywhere But Here was on my list too, because I was just like, I don't want to be at home no more. Like, I'm ready to have my own place again. I'm ready to be making some money. But now I'm like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that I don't want. So if I don't want you, you're already crossed off the list. Like, I'm not aligning to it. I ain't resonating at it. Like, you can try, I guess. You can be an experience for me to practice saying no. And I guess I could use some practice saying no. So, I don't know. Now, do I think it's this dude that's going to Seattle? Not necessarily. Right? And I think that that's something that me going through my journey has allowed me to do. It's allowed me to release people that I used to have like romantic interest in. It's like I've never been the type of person to be like, I care too much about you, and if you can't be my boyfriend, then I don't want to be your friend. Like, I've never been that person. Like, I have quite a few friends who I had some romantic interest in. One of them was a Gemini. That never would have worked. Especially not him. As a friend, yes. As someone who I need to emotionally be there for me and to get it and to understand, I don't want to say no because that wasn't our relationship. So maybe he has that capacity, honestly. But like, I have a lot of friends who I've had romantic interest in. And at this point, it's like, I think a part of me used to hold on to them, especially one in particular, my Taurian friend who is super, like, he gives good hugs, girl. He has to have a water moon. I feel like he would have like a Cancer moon, honestly. I feel like he could be a Taurus with a Cancer or a Libra moon. Um, his right, no, he would probably have a watery rising. I could see him being a Pisces rising, honestly. Anyway, he's someone that I held on to. Like, I accepted that we were just going to be friends. Excuse me, but I was like, if this dude like reached out to me and like, hey, like, do you want to try like dating or getting to know each other in that way? I would be like, yes, girl, because you're awesome and I love you already, and like, you're awesome. You can handle me emotionally. You can handle all of my little quirky shadow bits. Um, Honestly, I don't know if it was insecurity. Like, we met when I was in a break in the clouds, right? The space overall was pretty dark, but when we met, I was in the clear for like 6 months, and then entered the darkest point of my life. Right? And so, actually, no, it was more than 6 months. Like, the first semester in which we met, it was my best semester, and then things started to tail. Things started to peter down a little bit. Things got a little dark. He was there. He has the capacity, girl. And again, like, at that point, I didn't think I would find anybody else like him. And so, even though I had accepted that we wouldn't be any more than friends, I still kind of sort of held the candle a little bit, right? But since then, I've experienced different people, like not only different because they're not him, but also different because they're just so, like, who this dude who's moving to Seattle, like who he is, he also has that ability to, like, he's a Pisces, so he has the ability to meet me emotionally, but he is like so, like, air. Like, he might be a Gemini rising because I know his sun and moon. His right, like, he doesn't know his birth time, so that's why we don't know what his rising is. But it's still mutable, or like Libra. I wouldn't say Aquarius. Well, maybe Aqua. He has like very intellectual, very analytical, very airy, and everything. And I can be like that when it comes to certain things, but he's like that to another level. Like, he majored in his undergrad was in like anthropology and philosophy, girl. So the philosophy came out, and I'm like, oh, okay. And then again with the, like, his activism and things like that, I'm like, oh, okay, that's very different than, it's like I got one person who's like, I'm not smart enough for this and I'm not smart enough for that. And it's like, girl, you're plenty smart, you're plenty capable, okay? You may, just because you ain't an engineer don't mean you ain't smart. This dude, extremely smart and intellectual, also has an emotional capacity, which was nice. And then I met someone else who was like more fiery, more expansive, had more of a vision, and I was motivated. It's like through that fire, I found, like, I was able to discover fire within myself. And what connects these people is that they all have the ability to, whatever extent, they have the ability to meet me emotionally where I am. Now, one of those people actually, like, I actually needed him to be there for me, and he was in ways better than, honestly, I would expect for anybody to be. And that was the Taurus dude. And he gives good hugs, girl. So, my Taurus moon appreciates somebody who can give a good hug. Other dude, like, he's so, like, if you look at him, he's just like, he he's not cold, but he looks like he could be. And again, he's like very intellectual. But girl, he gives good hugs. Maybe it's the Pisces. I don't know. I don't think I've met a Pisces so far that doesn't give good hugs. I met an Aries that gave really stiff hugs. I think that other dude is a Cancer, and his hugs were also like, he might not be a Cancer. It don't matter. It don't, the signs don't matter. Signs don't matter. But yeah, so it's, I'm in a position, basically, long story short, I'm in a position now where I understand and I know that compatibility is something that is possible. So I don't need to cling on to the little bit of compatibility that I felt from somebody else. And maybe that's why in my own, like, as I've come across like all these twin flame things and soulmate things, like, I'm not forcing somebody in my past to be that, to the point where it'll prevent me from discovering who my person really is. Now, do I, there's a whole bunch of stuff in the twin flame journey that I don't personally resonate with. There's a whole bunch of foolishness that I'm personally not down for. Honestly, also, like, what resonates more for me, I would say it's more like of a divine compliment. Someone who is complimentary to me. So we're like probably similar in a lot of our we would have a similar core, but the way that we go about things, our interests, some of our modalities would be different, right? Like we could be the same core but have different modalities. Like I might express my things through like word or through work, like through the work that I choose to do. They might express their things through like, let's say, like activism, or they may be more into like more artsy. So like, let's say that there's someone who writes, who scripts like what is like plays and skits like that, right? They may be into that as, you know, expressing their voice, but at a core, like we hold some similar ideals. And I don't know, I just don't feel like it'd be somebody who's like exactly me. I've thought about that before. I don't want somebody who's exactly me. It's not that I don't love me, but I'm enough me for me. I don't need another me. Honestly, like I said, I don't want another me. Like I want somebody who's different. I want someone who like expand me in ways and who will like grow me in ways and who's open with being expanded and grown themselves. And it's not that a twin flame couldn't do that, but I don't know. It's just like, but yeah, I don't force anybody into that position because I've experienced already that I can meet someone who fulfills things that I didn't even know that I needed or wanted fulfilled. It's happened already. So I'm like, you know what? I don't know. And I'm okay with not knowing. Now, where I am in life, I want to, like, I don't necessarily want to be married right now, but like my life is about to start, and I'm about to start working. I'm about to start traveling, and when I start traveling, like I don't mind traveling with friends. Like there are a few friends I want to travel with. Honestly, there are a few friends who I owe a trip to. But also, like I would like to start traveling with a person, getting to know somebody, building a relationship, building a legacy. Like I have plans for my life, and I want to build. Like I want to incorporate somebody. Like I don't need to, but I would like to incorporate somebody into the travel, somebody into the building, like somebody to just go through life with, right? That'd be really cool. And I know that life isn't always perfect. I know that relationships aren't perfect. I know that I'm not perfect. And so, in that, you know, I try to hold more and more and more compassion and understanding. And I was already pretty compassionate and pretty understanding. I didn't really have the patience, though. And so I would be like, I understand what you're going through, but I'm not going to put up with this garbage, so I'm gone. I wish you the best. I wish you all the healing. I know that you're capable of so much more. I'm just not about to sit here and be beat up on or talked down to or whatever. Now, I'm still not going to sit here and be beat up on or talked down to or whatever. Like, that's not me. Um, but I have a lot more patience now than I did a long time ago. And like I said with that star card, it's like if we want something, if we're wishing for something, if we're manifesting something, sometimes we also like we take on all of the different traits and aspects that we need to take on, and we let go of the things that we don't when we become that person who has that thing. When we become that person who has that job, when we become that person who's in that healthy relationship dynamic. And it's like a lot of us will try to like manifest healthy relationship dynamics while being toxic AF, or maybe not toxic AF, but still holding on to some toxicity. And it's like, well, as you are now with your toxicity, you're not going to be able to peacefully, harmoniously exist in that healthy relationship dynamic. So what you're also manifesting is opportunities to take on more, to leave less, take on more of what does serve, leave more of what doesn't serve, to become more and more of that person who you will be when you get it, to align more and more in more ways to that which has that thing, right? It's all a part of it. And if at any point along the way we get stuck, we get stubborn, we decide that we're not going to change, then it pushes that thing further off. And a lot of times when that thing gets pushed off, that's when we buy into messages of divine timing. But divine timing isn't you just waiting for the rest of the world to get itself together. Divine timing is you also getting yourself together. Because again, It's like when you become the person who has that thing, when you become the person who's capable of carrying that thing, going back to the Empress energy, that's when you get the thing, right? And so if you never do what you need to do to become that person, then you'll never get the thing. It's not a matter of waiting, it's a matter of becoming. We're always becoming. Like Michelle Obama said, I still haven't read the book or watched. Oh, my friend had Netflix. I could have watched that. I was like, I know there was something I wanted to watch on Netflix. We're always becoming. And that's, I believe, that's what divine timing is about. Divine timing is about becoming. It's not about waiting. And sometimes we become and we wait a little bit, but while we're waiting, there are other things for us to become. There are other things for us to experience. There are other ways in which the vision will build itself. There are other ways in which things will unfold. It's been an hour? Oh my gosh, it's been an hour and 35 minutes. How? How? I thought this would be fine. So I'm gonna record 4 more zodiac signs today. I've done Virgo, Pisces, Capricorn, and Aquarius. We'll do 4 more today. I'm waiting on my buddy to be free so we can work on this resume. Oh! Oh gosh, oh, that's funny. Oh, that's funny. So yesterday I got the message that was like, your voice is powerful. Spirit is wait, like literally in wait. Like, ask for what you want. Speak that which isn't as if it were. And I do the speaking which isn't as if it were. I could probably do it better sometimes, but that's where my belief is. My wholehearted belief is there. I may feel a little frustrated sometimes because in my eyes it doesn't look like we're going in the direction that we could be going. But I jokingly, semi-seriously said something yesterday, and then I just look at this text that's like, "Hey," it's like a spammy text, and I've never gotten anything like this before. But yesterday I said I wanted it, and then here's this text message. So somebody is listening. I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you for also apparently listening when it comes to this collective down here, because yesterday I experienced a world that is and a world that is becoming at the same time. And then I experienced, and again, it's like the world has always been this. That's the duality and the dichotomy of the world that we live in. There's good and bad. There's brilliant light and like crushing darkness. But to experience both of these things literally back to back, after I heard allow the world to recreate itself or allow the world to be rewritten, and then it's like, well, there's that age of Aquarius sort of energy where people care about people, and I'm not gonna cry. I don't know why it makes me so emotional that I want to cry. But I was always raised to help people out if I can and not expect a reward. Not only to not expect a reward, but sometimes to not even accept a reward. And it's like, if you see somebody who needs something, then do it. And the primary person who instilled that in me was my grandmother. It was my mom and my grandma, but my grandma is my mom's mom, so it was primarily my grandma. And I went to the store with her yesterday. Oh my gosh, I might actually cry. I went to the store with her yesterday, and it's like, for the first time in my 28 years of life, and I know it happens all the time, but again, yesterday, it was just different. I'm emotional. I'm seeing the world become something that I don't know. I'm seeing the world shift in ways that are like real. And it's like for the first time I saw someone selflessly, without prompting, without asking, do something for my grandma. After living a life of seeing her do things for people, seeing my mom do things for people, being raised and trained to do things for people, like to see her receive it yesterday, it just like I almost cried in the parking lot. See, I almost felt the tear. I almost went there. But yeah, it was gorgeous. Um, and I guess that's why I do the work. For me, for the world, even though sometimes, I may speak a little strongly, but it's like at the end of the day, we're the only ones that can do it for us. And a lot of times we try to like, it's like when we become spiritual, it's like we push things off on God, we push things off on the angels, we blame the shadows, and we blame the devil for some of the repercussions to our actions, some of the consequences. And I'm not saying that the shadows ain't out there doing nothing and that the devil ain't out there busy, because he is and they are. But also there is direct consequence to some of our actions. And it's like, well, if you set yourself up to fall and then you fall, then like it's your reason that you like you're at fault for why you fail. And even with the divine and the angels, it's like sometimes we expect for them to do everything, but then they give us the opportunities that we don't even take. And it's time for us to begin doing things in our lives. It's time for us to begin doing something with all of the information. It's time for us to begin doing something with the protection, doing something with the abundance, doing something with all of these frequencies that are there to be used with for all of the light that is there to be used, that wants to be like, that is so primed to be used, but a lot of times we don't do anything with it. Sometimes we do. Sometimes, we get thrown a bone. We do get rewarded for the work that we do, and so we experience reward, but sometimes we can do more. And if you want more, you're going to have to do more. Like I said that last year. What, February, March? I was like, if you want better, you're going to have to do better. You're going to have to be better. And honestly, by the end of last year, it's like, I want everything. I want the relationship. I want the job. I want the opportunities. And I'm willing to put in the work because I know I want a lot. And so I'm willing to work a lot. And I mean, if that season of blessing is coming in, then hey, I'm gonna take it. Even if it requires more growth, even if it requires me to not be petty, because I like not being petty. Now, is there like, do I have a shadow side that like being a little petty and passive aggressive? Yeah, like we all got shadows, but what I like and appreciate more is spending time with people that I care about in energy that isn't tense. So I can get over myself. It's been a good like year and a half maybe now of me getting over myself. It's like, this is something that I care about. Okay, I can get over myself. This is someone that I care about. Okay, I can get over myself. This is something that I want. Okay, I can get over myself. Because I want these things. I care about these things. So why would I not give them the time and energy and effort that they need to grow? Even if I have to sacrifice a little bit of passive aggressiveness, a little bit of impatience, a little bit of uncompromising, like bye, like I don't need to. And also, like, I've never been the type of person that feels like I have to be in control of a situation, and so for me it's pretty easy. It was like, I don't feel a need to assert dominance in the situation, so I can own up to the things that I can own up to, because I'm trying to go somewhere. I'm trying to be somebody, and I already am somebody, but I'm trying to become a lot of things, because again, I want a lot of things. So with that, I'm gonna end this. Mimi, it was good to see you. I hope you're doing better. Even if you're doing well, I hope you do better. I hope that everyone, I hope that y'all are having the experience that you want to have, and that you are acting in such a ways to make it even more of your experience. And with that, I'm gonna record these zodiacs. I'm gonna make me some breakfast, and